A Scanner Darkly with Keanu Reeves, Winona Ryder, Woody Harrelson, a bunch of other people in it. I'm in it. I consulted on it. And he had final cut, but they went like $500,000 over. So then that was Warner Brothers, came in and said, okay, you're going to cut all these scenes. You're going to cut where the cop blows the guy's head off. That's anti-law enforcement. Now, let me tell you, and Linklater fought him and kept it in because it was in the book. But the point is there is control. There is control. I know people in Hollywood. There is, if I could tell you the behind the, okay, I knew when we were going to make Loose Change Final Cut with Charlie Sheen that Mark Cuban was going to put it out in theaters nationwide, and he got threats. And that other people's families, a general who is the brother of a producer's wife, called up and said, your kids can get killed doing this. You better not do it. Okay? Now, I was asked, shut up about that, until it was in the news that the White House had the Securities and Exchange Commission call up Mark Cuban, and they also sent an email and said, we're going to destroy you for this. So he dropped out of it. They still indicted him. And then it came out he was indicted for no reason, so the court case just got beaten 2 months ago. This is now admitted. And so when the New York Times comes out and writes about it, they're just threatening everyone. But I agree with you. A lot of it isn't controlled. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily trying to get off on that tangent. I was just making the point that it is so already ingrained in our culture and in our conscience that those are the types of things we want to see. Those are the types of things that people just write about, and we're for whatever reason drawn to those things. It's not that they're necessarily accurate or true, but I think we're fascinated with the end times and some of these technologies
and our own destruction.
Yeah, exactly, for whatever reason.
Okay, I want to go to phone calls and a few other items, but will you guys bring me that Eve YouTube clip in? I printed this up. I linked from a YouTube ad to this, but then YouTube itself has the video. It's called The Butterfly Effect. Thank you, Jaron. And when you click through to the Eve site, it says your life will now matter. You're going to be important. This is where you fight. This is where you're a man. 300,000 people. And so you have people paying in the real world with these simulation games, $50,000 for a Ferrari in the game to buy it from somebody because there's only so many Ferraris in the imaginary world. And they're actually getting real dates in the real world out of this. They're training you to be inserted into the Matrix.
What people don't realize is that, okay, by playing these games, you are projecting some type of desire to be needed or have that value. When
there's a real fight in the real world, you're needed right now. This is the real world.
Here, you have worth now in the real world. You don't got to play a game. This is
exactly. Listen, the social engineers, I read documents from universities in the 60s. In fact, in the extras of Endgame, on the Endgame 1.5, that's for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers, Dr. Michael Kaufman, the PhD, reads documents from universities saying, we're going to have complex computer games. We're going to have drugs. We're going to have like a Soma drug, Prozac. Everyone will it will be sports. We're going to build stadiums everywhere. And, of course, that was written about in 1900 as well by H.G. Wells. But you're absolutely right. They know. They don't want you out really involved in the real world interfacing. They want you fully being wire-headed into this. Yeah, cyberpunks.
They want you on the couch. They want you staring at a glassy box, getting the 40 megahertz frequency pumped in your head so that you just are droned out and you're sitting there doing nothing.
It's admitted that Americans 30 years ago had a higher wavelength. The average American is in a dreamlike daydream state. They're zombies, man. That's why you can't talk to them, and they've had psychological compulsions, psychological suggestions. This is admitted, implanted, that when they hear us talk about the New World Order or global government getting involved, they giggle and get a glassy. That's their pre-program.
These films that we've created here, they
go into the Matrix and deprogram. They're red pills.
It's shock therapy. It's like, boom, here it is. And that's what your films did to me, Alex, is it put me up against the wall and made me...
You were a risk management guy for a big company making a lot of money, and you got deprogrammed, didn't you, Franchi?
Yes, I did.
Now look at you. You have done well, my apprentice.
Thank you. Thank you, Lord John.
We're going to actually have a Lord on soon here on the show. All right. Here's Eve, folks. Now here it talks about how you have value, how you change things, how you have power by one decision you make in the video game, blasting a pirate ship. a pirate spaceship. But when you read the game, it's like your life is now going to have value. And so I started looking at other simulation games. It's all the same. And you have millions of people in some cases with World of Warcraft and all this, and all these Marine Corps games, which the Pentagon admits they're funding to then program you, where they admitted that the simulators in the games are exactly the same as real Predator drones. So now you're blowing up real people on the ground.
I've played games where I'm controlling a part of an elite military squadron, and there's people playing connected on the internet in their own homes. And they're all running around this virtual world.
No, that's the game. World of Warcraft has 3-4 million. There's all these other games. Well,
Call of Duty or one of those games.
Where you torture people and kill them now and kill civilians. And again, it dehumanizes all these simulated murders. That's why folks 50 years ago got scared if they saw simulated murder on TV. Now they don't care if humans are dying, but if they see a dog die simulated, people freak out because the dog still has value. Humans have been dehumanized. Here is the game trying to suck your soul. The game is Eve. Here's the game trying to suck your soul. There's all these men who have addictions, don't even have time with their wife or kids. They quit their jobs to play these games because this is where they have value. This is where they're a starship commander. Instead of in the real world with world government poisoning your water supply, you're in the middle of a real operation. We're fighting for our lives. People are being killed and set up over this. And, oh, no, I don't want to be in the real world. I want to fly around in my little fake spaceship or as a big giant goblin, World of Warcraft. You know, I mean, it's total crap. Here it is. T for violence. Crank it up.
In chaos theory, there's a concept known as sensitive dependence on initial conditions. Most people call it the butterfly effect. In Eve, we call it the sandbox. Let's say this is you. One lone wolf flying a starship in the far reaches of space. And in your travels, you encounter this. A defenseless mining barge under attack by pirates. You have a split second to make a choice. Without your help, the miner doesn't stand a chance. You decide to be the hero and succeed in driving the raiders away. The victim is thankful, and in the conversation that follows, a friendly gang that was on its way to help finally arrives. Grateful for your assistance, they invite you to fly with them. As it turns out, that gang was on its way to regroup with more patrols, who are all members of the same corporation, which happens to be part of an alliance of corporations that is currently at war with another alliance, whose patrols have just spotted the one you're flying with right now. Your decision to help that miner led to this moment, an epic battle between thousands of players, and the chance to share that experience with new friends that you might have for the rest of your life. Hundreds of thousands of people could hear about this battle. Why so many? Because it all happened in one universe, not in separate realms, just one big sandbox, where the actions of one person can resonate throughout the entire game world. In Eve, the choices you make shape the outcome of events. You could have helped those pirates, or just flown on by. What matters most is that the experience was emergent, unscripted, because in the sandbox, all player actions, no matter how subtle or bold, always have an impact. Imagine what you could become a part of. Being in the right place, at the right time, could touch the lives of more than 300,000 people in 230 countries around the world. Welcome to EVE Online. The universe is yours.
So this puts you into a false virtual reality where anybody who wants to be involved, anybody that wants to help, you're not in the real world as Gore's dual role in Spotlight, goad for cause and investor, how he's making all the money off enslaving you and your family. They're poisoning your water supply to brain damage you. It's admitted, but you don't care about fighting someone poisoning you. You want to go play Starship Commander when the elite actually plan to block off new technological development, freeze us here, one-child policy, exterminate most of us, and then the elite, they go to the real stars, while we all sit here getting euthanized playing games going hooked into a matrix. This is how we're being inserted into the matrix. And that's what the matrix is predictive programming. How were the people inserted into the matrix? They were offered a false reality when the guy says, I don't want to remember nothing. Pay me off. I want to be a movie star in the false reality. Well, in these false realities, you are a movie star. They have games where you're a movie star with hundreds of thousands of other jackasses.
I don't play those games, but I can understand the appeal that people have because...
Yeah, you don't go out. You're not supposed to go out and talk to your neighbors, but you can go out and talk to your neighbors and fight the goblin fleet. Online. Just don't go outside your house.
That's right, because, if you go outside your house and talk to them and you're perhaps going to transmit a little bit of truth from one to the other. But,
ooh, that's bad. You don't do that, but you can be a space commander.
Yeah, you can leak.
You can be a 25-foot goblin.
You can leak secrets to be a spy for some online game. But don't, whatever you do, don't burn a copy of this DVD and don't pass it off to your friends.